a step to the front. Cool kids. Too sweet sign for the click.
But you don't work there.
Feel like I need a shower just looking
Gotta
at
get
you.
right.
Like, what the fuck does that mean?
They ain't been the same ever since.
What?
Living pretty
We
well
cut
on
the
the
hand
challenge.
off
I ain't
You're
giving
gonna be
no
single
chance
for the
like
rest of your life.
Brock Lesnar on the beast.
Look at the heat.
Sleep flex and
Look at the
repeat.
heat.
Whole new swag with a pass on the tag. Coming live from the west to the east. Better recognize on the mouthpiece. See the power level got
I get no bitches.
Bringing content on the daily. Feeling like Gresh unleashed.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binary pals, and everybody in between. Welcome back to the Gresh Unleashed podcast. This is your voice that does the most to purveyor mischief, the man with the finessiness of, that's not even a word, but I'm going to keep it as a word today. The man who does a lot to basically keep himself busy in today's society. It is your boy Gresh, and joining me at the Unleashed table for the very first time is none other than the voice of all the battle rap hoochies in today's society, out there in today's climate. She is none other than the one, the only, mi amigo, Matessa Ash.
Hey, friend.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, friend?
Hey, how's it going?
You know, just ready from the technical difficulties that we had for the past 45 minutes, but, you know, great.
You know,
Happy to be here.
We had to go from Discord to
Yeah.
here to phone calls.
Yeah.
Technology.
Yeah.
Don't you love technology?
What a beautiful thing, you know? Just shout out to you, because if that were me, I already gave up. So shout out to you and your patience, and you know what you're doing, because I already gave up. I'm not going to do.
Listen, I've been doing this for 13 years with
I
AV.
have been doing this for 13 days. I already gave up. Yeah, I already gave up.
I've had to troubleshoot literally in the middle of an entire show. So this is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. As corny as that sound, that's
I'm
literally.
glad.
Oh man,
I'm so happy about that for you, because yeah, that's not my thing. I don't have patience. I don't know anything about technology. I just know how to record audio, and I do that, and then I stop. That's beyond my limits.
And by the time you and I, while I'm done with you, you're probably going to be doing all of this. Trust me, because everybody who hangs around me picks up that habit of literally the quality increasing of their podcasting. Because the way I had this set up, I wasn't really, like, when I first started, I probably was I had like, I think my microphone is in here somewhere. I had the Blue Yeti for a long time, but then I switched to the Shure and the Rodecaster, because I like the quality, increase the quality, because people pay for it. And speaking of patience, like you're working on, and like I have, shout out to the Patreon backers over at patreon.com/Gresh Digital. Nice little segue there, because you guys have patience with me, because I'm always on the road doing stuff, because literally every episode that is not an interview has been retro review of wrestling. But for those of you who are new around here, this is typically a wrestling podcast. But since I am the guy who pays, or who basically brings all the entertainment, I've decided to pivot a little bit, because even though Tessa is a fellow wrestling enthusiast, sort of,
Yes.
she don't really care about it like most of us do, and that's the intriguing part about it.
You know what? Just not anymore.
I respect it.
It just wasn't enough fine niggas there to hold my attention, and so I had to bring my sights elsewhere, and so I found, my new home. But I still watch wrestling, or wrestling watches me. I don't know right now.
It depends on what's on.
If
it's not,
I'm definitely not as thirsty as I used to be. Just because it's really such a decline of like fine niggas in wrestling these days, and everybody just fighting over the same fine ass nigga. I don't like competition. Like, I like competition, but it's like, I like to be reaffirmed. You know what I mean? So I went to battle rap, where, I got niggas in my DMs now. So,
Hey,
I'm just happy to be here.
hey, I
I'm just happy
respect
to
it.
be
I
here.
respect it. And speaking of your newfound passion, battle rap. Let's talk about it. Let's talk
Yeah,
about it because apparently you have your own podcast that a lot of people don't know
I
about. I try my best to
do.
plug it as much as possible because a lot of people, I tell people all the time, don't hold me to it because sometimes I be forgetting to retweet stuff. People still be texting me like, "Hey, can you retweet this?" Sure, and I'm in my mind, I be retweeting it, but then when I get there, I'm like, "Oh shit, my bad." But
Nah, like I don't even hold like people like I wouldn't even feel bad when people don't retweet it because Elon don't touch too much buttons on his damn shit that most times they probably don't see it. So I don't get mad because I'm like the likelihood of it showing up on your timeline is probably not,
yeah,
you
because
know,
I believe your
as if
second
it was
episode.
3 years ago.
Because I believe I found out about your second episode literally on the For You page like 10 days after it dropped. Oh,
Yeah, so now I'm like, when you find out, like you find out the episode's always gonna be there, but
turn that into
as
your.
long as I retweet it, it'll turn up eventually. So
I'm about to say, turn that into your. How do you say? Turn that into your niche in the underground podcasting game, where if you find it, you find it. If you don't, you
yeah,
don't.
like the people that will like I'm learning to be patient because I'm like I want more people to listen to it, but it's like you're also in your third episode, like so relax, give yourself some grace. But
You'll get there.
I'm excited for it to be like the way that I found podcasts that I like, that other people will like it, and then it will eventually, get around. But
I always tell
I
people.
just am like, I want to wake up and it just like has a bunch of retweets. So that's not realistic. So
No, it'll get there. The reason why I say that because, and I tell people this all the time. Like I know people are obsessed with social media nowadays, where they just have to
mhm.
have like retweets and all this stuff. I've had people come to me all the time. They're like, "Hey, bro, you got over this amount of followers on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok," and I'm like, "Man, as long as y'all laugh like I laugh, I don't give a shit."
Yeah,
I don't give a
like
shit.
I that's why I'm usually like, on Twitter being wild because it's like if you see my wild ass tweet and then you're like, oh, what the fuck is this girl talking about? And you go to my page and you're like, oh, she had a podcast. Let me see what she's talking about. Then
Yep.
it's done its job.
I respect, and then for a lot of people who don't know, because I listen to everything, because I have this tendency, because I can feel that passion where you're like, I want this, then I want that. I'm like, okay, cool, and then I respect the fact that you're willing to listen to feedback because there's a lot of people who don't understand or comprehend feedback, and they be like, oh, why nobody listening to, like, bro, you have to understand it, because I had to become receptive of feedback because like I said, I was doing this I've
Hmm.
been doing content creating for 13 years. I didn't start listening to feedback until 10 years in the game, and that was because I was in my own way. And sometimes you
Yeah.
have to get out of your own way, listen to feedback, listen to like, okay, hey, you can do this, do that. Because I'm pretty sure you listen to, like, when I listened to your first episode, I was like, okay, you can do this, do that. And then when I listened to your second episode with the interview, I was like, she listened. Cool. And so now I'm like, and that's what you have to do. And that's one thing I wanted to get in the habit of doing, make sure our people are good, because it's a
Hmm.
lot of it's not a lot of black content creators that are still like legit repping the
Yeah.
culture. You feel me? So that's why I'll be
Facts.
like, okay, she has this niche. I don't really get battle rap like that outside of Wild and Out because I don't really follow or know how to follow. So what I did was like, okay, hey, maybe there's some people out there like me that it wants to get into it. So how about we pivot towards this person? She's on the come up. Let's do this. Because when I heard, because the one thing you did that was successful was make the podcast mean something. And as far as like catching people's attention, battle rap hoochie society.
Yeah.
Soon as you
Like
hear,
that
soon
was
as you hear the hoochie
my
society,
goal with that. Because like when I first got into battle rap, like I was like, okay, like this is dope and stuff like that. And then after a while, I was like, wait, like these niggas are fine. And then like just like like what they were saying, and like just being like aggressive and loud, and like especially if the niggas are from New York, like the niggas have accents, like it was really doing something to me. And I was like, oh shit, this is turning me on, like this is weird. And when I was starting to listen to like other battle rap podcasts, there wasn't really any, like there were no girls that had battle rap podcasts. So I was like, there's definitely a lane for me here. Let me, you know, put myself out there and just share my thoughts, because I'm sure that there are other girls that, you know, probably objectify these niggas the same way that I do, or want to, but never really felt comfortable saying it out loud. And I just don't have a filter, and I don't give a fuck. So I just, you know, say what I want. So I was like, let's do it. And if it works, it works. And nobody don't fuck with it, then they just don't fuck with it. But
that's how you do
so
it.
far, so good.
So far, so good.
Far, so good.
You call people, you catching people's attention. I can tell you right now. And one thing I can tell you, I think what also helped me, because I'm basically giving you advice on air too. That's the beauty behind just having a conversation, because people assume this is an interview. This is just really us chopping it up. But one thing I had to learn as I got more into podcasting is fuck the numbers. That's literally on my chalkboard right now, on my vision board right now. Fuck the numbers. And the reason why I say that is because some people get so consumed with numbers, and because a lot of people who don't know or who are new around here, this is the second incarnation of this podcast. The first podcast I was doing wrestling news and reports and reviews and all this stuff, trying to sound like everybody else. Whereas people need to understand that. So once I took everything off the air and really sat down, chopped it up with my boy DJ, shout out to him. He basically said, bro, just be you turned up. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He's like, yo, you like wrestling, right? I'm like, yeah. He said, okay, so find what you want to talk about. I'm like, okay, I want to talk about the old shit, because the new shit is either hit or miss. So let me talk about the old shit. He's like, okay, cool, do that. You want to have interviews? I'm like, yeah, sure. He said, well, do it like this. Don't be an interview. Have a conversation. It's like one, and then that's why I appreciate your second episode with what was the gentleman's name? It's slipping my mind right now. Goods?
Well, Goods the animals. Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to my friend.
Shout out to him. The reason why I enjoyed that one is because it was a conversation. And that's what I be trying to tell a lot of new cats that be trying to get my advice. If you're having there's a difference between having an interview and then a conversation. Please have a conversation, because when you're just sitting here like just trying to ask questions or all this stuff, it gets played out. It gets played out after a while.
Yeah, especially the type of questions that you ask, because like the thing that I have always wanted to do if I had the opportunity to interview people that I like is to ask them questions that people do not ask to them. Because, you know, I just remember growing up, and to this day, one of my favorite singers has always been Dharma Shard. Like, that is my sis. Like, I love her so much. And I love watching her interviews because she's very articulate, but she's also just a really fun person to be around. And you can literally ask her any question, and she doesn't mind answering it. But I feel like every single time that I watch her interviews, the interviewer has always been so lazy and just wants to know the basic shit that you can easily go on YouTube and watch an interview and get all those answers. And so it's like, I don't want to watch an interview if you're going to ask them the same questions that everybody else has already asked them, because we already know the answers to them. Yeah. Like, if I can easily go find these answers, there's no reason for me to ask them again, because they're not going to want to answer them, and then they're definitely not going to want to come back to your show. No. So I'm like, okay, you are a battle rapper. I want to get to know you as a battle rapper, sure. But you came here to this society for hoochiness. So I'm going to ask you about being a hoochie. So I always tell them, like, whenever I book an interview, I'm like, look, if you're not comfortable with something, let me know. But if you're good, it can go any place. You know, it's going your direction. You don't have the answer. I'm just gonna ask. Yeah, because I tell people straight up, this is the unleashed table. Basically, there's no limits. Like, I tell people before they even click on it, if you are easily offended, we're not
we're not the type of person that's going to offend you on purpose. But if you're easily offended by the stuff that we talk about, I'm gonna need you to click off because But we're not gonna. It's like we're unleashed, but we're not. I'm not trying to be that person that says stuff or do stuff that gets you in hot water.
Yeah, or just to say stuff like to catch attention, for instance, most of the time, I'm always on Twitter. It's like always on Twitter, and most of the battle rappers that I talk to, they're on Twitter. And so this one battle rapper who I love so much, he did a giveaway on his Instagram. And I would always talk crazy to him on Twitter to the point that like his friend was like screenshotting my tweets and sending it to him. Like that's how outrageous it was. And so when I was on his Instagram live and I was putting stuff in the comments and one of my other friends were there and like people were like really feeling some type of way about the way that I was talking. And I'm like, if he's not addressing what I'm saying and he doesn't have a problem with what I'm saying, why do you have a problem with what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm telling my friend because she was getting really defensive. Like, she's like, no, don't talk to my friend like that. I was like, sis, it's okay. It's okay. And I told her, I was like, you know, they're not familiar with me on Instagram.
Right.
I was like, if you're offended by what I'm saying on Instagram in this comment section, please don't go to my Twitter. Do not go to my Twitter. Do not listen to my podcast. Do not be in the spaces with me because you're going to hear something 10 times worse than what I'm saying right now on Instagram.
Right. That's why.
So, like, people think that, like, people are like, oh, you're being thirsty. You're trying to get attention. And I'm like, you think that I'm being thirsty and you think that I'm trying to get attention.
That's just.
I don't have to get anybody's attention because this is who I am. They already know that from jump. So they don't get offended because they're like, oh, it's just Matessa. She crazy. She talks like that.
You from New York?
I am from New York.
That's
I
it.
live in New York.
That's literally it. And the reason why I say that because I have a god sister. She's born and raised from the Bronx, so she literally talks like that. So if she's loud, and every time,
oh yeah,
and every time,
very loud,
and every time I'm around her and my nephew. I'd be like, are you going to talk loud today? She'd be like, you know, goddamn. I'm like, all right. All right. But yeah, love her to death. So that's what I'm saying.
We can't help it.
Yeah, I have no filter. And I'm like, and every time I tell her, I'm like, every time I talk to her, I'd be like, it's funny how growing up, I always, because me and her met when we was like middle school, high school. So she became, my mom adopted her as a godchild instantly. So it's like, yo, you remember when we used to do it? So that's what I'm saying. Whenever I always have a conversation with people about people from New York, I'd be like, yo, that's just how they are. They literally they don't give a shit. And they mean well.
Yeah. Cause I'm like, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. Like, I'm like, I try to be respectful. Like I always try to be respectful first. Like, I don't want, and I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. So I always tell people, I'm like, if anything that I say makes you feel some type of way or makes you feel uncomfortable or you don't like it, just say, hey girl, like chill out. And I promise you I'll never talk about you again in that way. Like I will just make a comment, oh, you're good at that. But other than that, like if I make you feel uncomfortable, like I'm not going to talk about you. But if you don't tell me, then or correct me, how am I supposed to know? And I'm gonna just keep wilding out on you. And it's not even like I'm trying to get your attention because I literally just met a bunch of battle rappers and I told them to their face, like, hey friends, come here, come closer, let me tell you. If you saw somebody saying outrageous things about you on Twitter in a very sexual fashion, it was me. And shake my hand. Shake my hand.
That reminds me of Lovely with Hikaleo and Tama.
Yeah. And it's funny that you brought up Lovely. Shout out to Lovely. I love her so much. So grateful that she's, you know, even a person in my life because she's always supportive no matter what. And I remember before I even started recording, I had been planning out this podcast for a month before I even said anything. And I was like, I don't know if I should tell her that I'm going to do a podcast because she like hated that I got into battle rap because she was just like, that's all you talk about now. Like, they should have never gave you battle rap. That's what she was. And I told her, I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a podcast. And she was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, like, you know, you don't have to listen to it because I know you don't like it. And I think the week that I put out the first episode, like, she sent me a message and she was like, I don't understand battle rap, but I'm gonna support you because I love you and I'm proud of you that you found, you know, something that you like. And I'm just like sobbing, like, thank you so much, big sis, for always being there for me. Like, she's just great like that. Like, if you guys are ever, you know, able to have someone like that in your life, you know, that it's very rare that you find somebody that will go that hard for you and will support you. And I haven't even known her that long. Like, I've known her maybe 2 years now. But I love her. I love her so much. Like,
from you and not be a part of the crew that confused me with Jonathan Gresham. So.
Oh no.
No, it's fun. I always use that as a joke because everybody always because we got the same last name.
You should have said that you're the better one.
I am the better one.
You are the better one. That's a fact.
Like,
no shade. That's just a fact.
I'm like, I mean, if you want to prove me wrong, just we in the same city. It is what
I don't know how anybody could do that.
I mean, he's bald now, so you can't confuse us now. I still have all my hair. I still have all my hair. I'm good.
Y'all look nothing alike, though. And you're better looking, so I'm confused. And you seem tall. He doesn't seem tall, so I don't know.
I'm taller than him, of course. He's like.
I mean, shoot, I'm probably taller than him, so.
He's like 5'2".
Yeah, so it's not hard to be taller than him then.
No, but yeah, like for real though, shout out to Lovely. Like she has because she's going to be on this show eventually. Like she would, and I'll have to explain to people will try to understand like why am I so like calm and peaceful and lenient, because like some people will reschedule on me during shows and stuff. I'm like, that's fine. Like shit happens. People are confused with me at a young, because I'm 28, and they be like, yo, how are you so calm and wise at a young tender age of 28? And I'm like,
you got that old soul. I get the same thing. Like my because people think that I am older, but people think that I look younger. So I can never actually be 28 because they're like, you look 16, but you sound like you're 95. So I don't know where to call it. And I'm like,
people need to understand. I say people need to understand too. I'm high like 95% of the time. So
you can't even sweat the small stuff because you barely know what's going on. You're like, hey man, life is a breeze.
Like, I was literally like, I just came back from North Carolina and I was literally high on the road. Like I was just like,
oh my god!
But I wasn't driving, so I'm good. But I was just.
Oh, okay, good. No, because the only time that I'm ever high is at nighttime, so I can go to sleep, and I just be like, where am I? What is it with God? Who am I? What's this? Do I have a face?
See, the reason why I don't ever get high going to sleep anymore is because I always fight to sleep to try to figure out why do I feel this way. Because I'd be so high, and I'd be like,
no, the edibles that I have, like it literally makes my body feel like a weighted blanket, and I have absolutely no choice but to go to sleep.
See,
I can't even fight it. I have no choice. I just happen to fall asleep. I don't know how. I just fall asleep.
For the people who don't want to know about strains, like if you can skip past this now, but whenever I smoke Delta 8. Why? My whole face be like,
yes. I have hold on, because I just got these new ones because I used to get these gummies from the dispensary, and I didn't like them because the one that they had, it was a hybrid, so it was like it was either 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams of like THC, and then like 4 parts of CBD. And they were good. Like I literally was having like some of the best sleep, but they were just too expensive. Like I paid $40 for 20 gummies, and I was like, I'm not like balling like that. I'm poor. So I got these good old Delta 9, and it's a pineapple mango. And the cool thing about this, I think they were $35, and there's 20 gummies in there. And the first time I took this, I took the whole gummy, and I literally felt like I was having a stroke. So now I just take half of it. So I got like 40 gummies now for $35, which I feel like is a steal. But I do like these a lot.
You saying that just reminded me of me introducing my sister to gummies for the very first time. She took a whole edible, and I told her to take half. She took it. She was like, "Oh, this ain't doing nothing to me." So she took the rest of it. I kid you not. When the pandemic hit, we pretty much all moved in together. So she ran into my room upstairs and was like, "I can't feel my face."
That was how I felt the first time that I ever had. I had a weed brownie, and I think I had like my friend made it for me. He was like, "Do not eat the whole thing." So I think I ate like a quarter of it, and literally was awake at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was in the city, and it was me and 2 of my other friends. We were taking a train to go uptown to Harlem, and was talking on the train, completely missed the stop that we were supposed to get off to transfer to go uptown. And so maybe like 2 stops later, I'm like, oh shit, we need to get off the train. So I was like, oh, we just get off the next stop and then just transfer back and go down, like go back to where we were supposed to get off up and then go back uptown. And I got off the train, and I'm like, there has to be a way that I could go to the other side of the track without having to leave and come back in. And I couldn't figure it out, and it kept leading me up to the street, and I just because I was tired, I just did not know what was going on. I got so irritated. I was like, fuck it. So I took an Uber all the way to Harlem from downtown, which was like $75. And by the time that we got to Harlem, it's maybe like 4:30 in the morning. And I was with my friend, and I was like, oh, I'm hungry. And there was an IHOP that was like right down the street from our Airbnb. So I went to we went to the IHOP, and the menu was laminated. So I'm literally like this in the restaurant, but I'm cracking up. Something about this sound made me laugh so hard, and I was so loud. And then by the time that I got back to the Airbnb, I got in the bed, and I literally could feel like the right side of my face sliding off. And I was like, am I having a stroke? Is this the start of a stroke? I can't feel my face. So literally went to sleep, and I was like, I'm going to die. Like, this is the way that I go out. It's fine. And then thankfully, I was fine.
That sounds like my first time, because when I felt like I was dying, I started singing Michael Jackson, "You Are Not Alone," for some reason.
Oh, God! No, but I did have a similar gummy story to your sister's. I went to this smoke shop on Long Island. I bought a tincture, and I bought I think it was a Delta 8 or a Delta 9. And it was a peach ring. And I was like, okay, so how should I take this? And the guy was telling me he kind of cuts it into quarters. So that was my first time using gummy, so I didn't know how fast it was gonna kick in. So I was like, bet, if it takes an hour or two to kick in, let me take it now, and then by the time I get home, I'll be good. So then I had a little piece of it, and then I was like, oh, I really felt that's it. Let me take the other quarter, right? By the time I made it back to where I live at, and it kicked in, and I had to go to Home Depot. I had to go to Home Depot to get a power drill. I think I had to mount my TV or something like that. I was so high. I went to Home Depot and I literally sat in the aisle and I was just like, what did I come here for? Like, what did I come here for? And so one of the guys comes over to me. He's like, "Oh, do you need help?" And I literally just kept going like this because I didn't know what the word was. And I was like, "I need this. I don't know what this is, but I need this." I just know the word. And I was like, you know what? I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going home." I was like, "Let me just go home because I don't need to be driving like this." So I went home. I went to sleep because I was literally like, "Yo, I came here for this. I don't know what this is, but I came here." Oh, so now I literally will only be high in the comfort of my own home, and I don't have to go anywhere or like participate in activities or like have to.
Surprisingly, one time I was high on New Year's right when the pandemic hit, so it was like it was a party my boy invited me to. It was basically like if you were in the house and you actually followed the rules of COVID, here's your break to celebrate because we all pretty much did the same thing. And I had an edible. And he was like, "Is it working?" I'm like, "No." And then an hour came by. He said, "Okay, if it kicks in, then I'm gonna let you take it." It still didn't happen, so I took the rest. I'm like, I told him, I said, "Bro, this is weak." So by the time, and then it was funny. It's like as soon as the party's over, Happy New Year, yada yada yada. I drove home. Soon as I got in the parking lot, boom. I'm like, oh. All right, I'm glad this happened as soon as the car was parked, because if it wasn't parked, I would have been done.
It's like you know when it kicks in because depending on what type of edible it is, like it's like your whole entire body changes. Like
you feel like you Spider-Man.
The edibles that my friend used to, like the edibles that I used to buy from my friend when he used to make them. Like I literally felt like. You ever use your phone, like an iPhone, and then like if one of the apps gets stuck, it just kind of like blinks out, like it just goes out of the app, or like if your phone is like whacked out, it just like goes to black and then it turns back on. I felt like my body was gonna do that. Like I felt like all of my organs were gonna shut down and then come back on. And I was just like my eyes got super wide. I felt like everything was like ovally, like it was just weird. But now the ones that I take now, I just really feel like I feel like there's cement in my blood. Like everything just feels very heavy, and it's just like, no, nigga, go to sleep, lay down. I'm like, that's a great idea. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, it's great. I love it here.
Oh man, if you guys are confused with what we're talking about weed, and yeah.
We're talking about the lovely things that being high can
that's
especially
nice.
If you have problems with sleep.
That's a nice segue for the next part, which is basically mental health, because weed helps with my mental health. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna hold you, because when I moved to Dallas, Texas in 19, when I was there, new city, new state, I started developing anxiety, and I could not figure out how to keep it under control. Popped my first Eddie, and it was in control, and I was like, I'm gonna do this more often. What is your scapegoat on how to help with your mental capacity? Because I'm pretty sure, because I know one thing in today's society as Black people, most specifically Black men and women, we don't really talk about our mental health like that. So I try to make it a mission to like, okay, here's your coping mechanism and how you feel it should be taken more serious going forward. So, what is your what is your go-to escapee besides weed?
You know, it depends. Like, I'm definitely very big on mental health. I've been in therapy for maybe a year or two now. Or maybe a little bit more than a year. I think I started therapy. I think October 2021. I started therapy, and literally was perfect timing because literally like a month later, like all hell broke loose. And shout out to my therapist, because I was like, I'm ready to jump. This is ghetto. Like I hate, like it was just like craziness after craziness after craziness. So shout out to my therapist for, making sure that I was not, going over the edge. And shout out to my group of friends that I hate that we're not as close as we used to be, but they have definitely helped me on many occasions, like bring me back down to here, because I will be like, what the hell is going on? Like I felt as sometimes like Coach Crean from all that, like the life I live is sad. Like like I tell my therapist that, and I'm just like, I feel like every bad thing happens to me, like, and I'm so sick of it. But what do I do to cope? Like I will watch my favorite movie. Like my favorite movie is The Wiz, so I'll watch my favorite movie. I have like a bunch of playlists on YouTube that I watch, that as long as something makes me laugh, like I feel better that way. Like I need something that's gonna make me laugh. Like I'll watch a stand-up special. I watch people on YouTube. I have like a whole list of Instagram people that I watch. And now I do this I'm actually trying to make this shirt that says that I watch battle rap for self-care. Just because I have certain battles that I literally will watch every single week, just so I can feel like, so I can feel alive.
That's completely sane, because there is some people out there who watch wrestling as their scapegoat. Like I've had
I would do that too. Like I would watch like all RVD matches, and I watch old Rhino matches. Like I would watch old Jeff Hardy matches, like
just to feel different.
Yeah, like because majority of the things for people that are not in therapy, a lot of the time, it's not really you in your current state that is going through the things. It's your childhood stuff that's going through the things. And because you don't really think about that stuff, you don't realize that, that inner child is still there, and you have to feed that inner child. So a lot of the times I will go back to the thing that made me happy when I was a child, because for the most part, the things that give us stress or cause us, anxiety, we did not have those situations when we were a child. Like for me, I really get stressed out when I can't pay my bills. But when I was a kid, I had no bills to pay for it. So I will go back and be like, okay, as a kid, what were the things that made me happy? Wrestling made me happy as a kid. I'm going to go watch RVD, because that was who my favorite wrestler was when I was a kid.
That's like me
and
with
so watching that, it's like, yeah, like watching old 90s shows. Like I'll go back, I'll watch As Told by Ginger. I'll binge watch The Amanda Show. Like just stuff that made me really, really happy when I was a kid. And I think that's why now, like, people ask me now, like, what are like my top 5 favorite movies, and they're all kid movies. Like the SpongeBob movie, Shrek, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, The Wiz. Like those are all movies that I watched as a kid. Like
I had my mom one time ask me. She was like, when I was having a panic attack, she was like, "How did you calm yourself down?" She walked right into the room. "Oh, you watching Shrek? You watching Shrek?" I was like, "Hey, don't bother me right now. I'm calm. Leave me alone."
Yeah,
leave me alone.
Like what? Like I will be like, okay, something's off. I have to watch this because I know it's gonna put me back on. Like a show that I will literally binge watch every single time is The OA on Netflix. I have watched that so many times, and whenever I feel like just off, because now that I have been in therapy, I actually got diagnosed with dysthymia, and it is like persistent depressive disorder. So a lot of times, like, I will have like depressive episodes, but I can't call why or what triggered them. So whenever I feel off and I can't call it, I'm like, I gotta watch The OA. And it always brings me back on track. And I don't know what it is about that show, but it's just so fucking good. Like, I hate that we didn't get a third season. I hate that Netflix canceled it, but
because it's Netflix. Netflix on Netflix, and I
yeah,
like
Netflix on Netflix.
and I like that you brought
Fucking
like
Netflix.
I like that you brought up like certain things because I know one thing that a lot of us don't really talk because it is February. You know, niggas gonna be talking about Valentine's Day and bullshit. I've been single since 2015. And that was by choice.
Me too.
And that was by choice. And the reason why is because when I had lost my god brother to pneumonia, I was coping the wrong way. I fell back into what I did when I was younger, when I was coping from living with my father. So it was like because I was with a young lady. Hopefully she's doing well. I don't talk to anybody that's from my younger age. Most of it by choice, most of them because they're married, and I respect other niggas' wives. But it's like shout out to her, like I wish her well. But I was literally like I think a month after he passed away, I was like, hey, you want to date? And she was like, yeah, because she had a thing for me. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And it was the cupcake phase, you doing all that stuff, but then as it got older and worse and worse, because I actually talked about this on the first episode of the Tapped In podcast with DJ Breezy that I was guest on. Basically, I used her as a scapegoat, and it was basically I wasn't grieving properly, and that's a form of mental health. So I try to like, the reason why that came up is because when you mentioned like you have your depressive states, there's a lot of men, a lot of brothers that need to listen. Like if that happens with your significant other, you ain't gotta snap. Just let her be.
Yeah.
Because I know it's a lot of, and this leads back to Twitter. I know it's a lot of niggas. They don't really know how to be there and be supportive and process a lot of emotions, right? Like with that young lady, my mom told me straight up, end it because you're using her. You're using her. So I had, and the reason why I've been single since then is because I wanted to make sure that I want to be able to mentally be prepared for everything that happens. And that is a form of maturity. So yeah, that's and that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up is because I know it's a lot of brothers, they tend to shut, like if a woman snaps or if they're depressed and they can't figure out what's going on, they just close they just like, well, fuck you too.
And then also like a lot of guys, a lot of guys use like semantics like, oh, I'm not depressed, I'm just not myself. Like, nigga, you're depressed.
Shit. I'd be like, I'm fucking depressed. I am like,
yeah, and that's okay. Like, I know that was like a controversial thing in battle rap Twitter a couple weeks ago. Like, somebody, a battle rapper has said that like depression is not real, and I was like, I'm not about to go back and forth with you because I don't know you. And the only thing that I said to him was that if you are able to have not experienced depression and you have not ever felt like you wanted to kill yourself, I love that for you, and I hope that it stays that way for you. But the thing that I heard a lot of other dudes saying were like, oh, we don't do that, and I'm like, the fact that you say that niggas don't do that is why niggas can't communicate that they feel that way, because he's like, oh, well, niggas don't say that they're depressed, they'll say like, oh, they don't feel themselves, that something's off, and it's like, you're trying to play the semantics game, because what you are saying this is exactly what it is. You just don't want to say that word, and that's okay. But it's like, I just hope that we get to a point where dudes feel more comfortable and expressing themselves.
And that's where that's really where I was going with I like that you said that, because that's really where I was going with using the young lady, is because instead of battling, because I was fucking depressed that one of my closest confidants just died out of nowhere, because it wasn't a prepared. It was literally saw you last week, talked to you last week, then boom, you dead. What the fuck? You didn't really I didn't process it right. What did I do to process it? I got into a relationship where all I wanted was sex. She wasn't ready for sex. I was like, you know what, I'm not feeling
You're
this.
like, on to the next one.
On to the next one. So my mom pulled me to the side. She said, before you end up like someone that you know, my daddy, slow down, think this through. Do you really like her? And after a while, I said, no, I don't. And she was like, okay, end it. And she just said it straight up. Yeah. She said, end it. And she said it just like this: end it and fix your shit. Like my mom is one of those powerful Christians where she cuss.
My mom too.
But she means
she don't cuss, but she
don't cuss in general. She cuss at me.
She's just very she's just very direct.
She's like she literally and I think that was the first time I heard her like cuss at me or cuss in general. She was like, nigga, break it up with her and fix your shit. Yeah. And that was the last time I heard
most people use, like, one of the worst things you can ever do is use a person to cope. Mm-hmm. Don't use people to fix your shit, because while you're trying to fix your shit, you're ruining that person. And when you separate for them and now you're good or you're fully charged, their battery is drained. Mm-hmm. And that's not fair to that person, because it either repeats the cycle and they go on to do it to someone else, or now that is your only coping mechanism. Right. And that's not a consistent or stable coping mechanism. Right.
And that is why
cope the way that you can best. Just don't have to rely on a person to fill your void, because people come and go, and that's not a consistent, that's not something that's going to be consistent. You're never going to heal that way.
Yeah, and that's why coping is also a form of depression that a lot of men don't want to talk about. And to circle back to what the gentleman who you mentioned said, oh, it's not real. I wish we could tell that to Twitch, because he was happily depressed. And what I mean by happily depressed, he was happy, but you could tell he was depressed, because can't nobody on the surface be happy and then off themselves like that.
Yeah. And I mean, that was, one of the things that I learned when I got my diagnosis, that a lot of the times, like, I have had depressive episodes so frequently that nobody would have known. Right. Because it was such a unfamiliar thing that I was able to project on the outside that, I'm fine. And then on the inside, I'm like, I'm about to jump. Like, a lot of people have that. Like, they just, do what they do to get by. They fake it till they make it. And then when, unfortunately, the situations happen, then people are like, well, I don't understand how where did this come from? Like, it came out of nowhere. And it's like, a lot of times it doesn't really come out of nowhere. Like, a lot of times, don't know how to read it. A sign is there. It's just, you don't
know how to read it.
Really know how? Yeah, like, because people know how to act. People know how to hide that shit, especially if they don't know how to vocalize it, or they don't know how you're going to handle it. Which I think is one of the reasons why I've always been kind of reluctant being in relationships now, because it's like, how do you, like, I'm also not going to put the burden on you to figure me out, but this is who I am, and so you kind of have to figure me out. You know what I mean?
And that's why I tell people to go check out that episode of Tapped In. It's called Understanding Love, and and she was breaking it down in different ways, and she basically hit the nail on the coffin. She was like, a lot of men don't really know how to, like they don't, like, there is a such thing as someone with daddy issues as a man. There's someone is a such thing as someone who don't really have good examples, because she asked me the same thing a lot of people asked me. They was like, why were you single for so long? It's because I wanted to make sure that if I decide to just say, you know what, screw it, I want to date, I want to make sure it's with someone that understands that, hey, shit happens. Life happens. We're going to have to communicate. Like, some people don't know how to communicate. And that's another thing. A lot of people don't know how to communicate. And
or they don't know how to communicate effectively.
yeah, they'll you can talk all you want to, but if you're not doing it to where anything can be comprehended, what are we doing here? And
Right.
like a lot of people don't understand. For the longest, until I was maybe 24, I had a brilliant poker face, but I was broken on the inside. Now it's like I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I have it under control to where I can be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm good.
It's all about doing the work, because, you know, the first step is realizing where the fuck you are. Like, once you realize and you make the assessment, like, this is where I'm broken, this is where I can work on, this is what I can identify, the things that I can work on. Once you have identified them, you actually have to do the work. And the work is not easy, it is not overnight. And I'm not as quick to want a relationship as much as I used to, because I have actually done the work
and let's
to
be real,
be the person that I am now.
It's a cesspool out here.
I mean, yeah, it's also trash. But I personally done a lot of work to be the person that I am now, and I do read a lot. I read a lot of personal development books. And one of the books that I read, that I would encourage other people to read, even though I read it in church, but it applies outside of church as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. And one of the biggest things that I learned in that book is that, you know, people think that they are mature, but are you emotionally mature? And a lot of people are not emotionally mature. A lot of people are, you know, emotional adolescents. A lot of people are, you know, emotional children. And if you don't know, you won't know that until somebody else can, like, see the way that you know, the way that you behave, the way that you react to things. And when I first read this book, this was maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. And when I first read it, I was like, I am an emotional adolescent. Like, I'm grown, I'm an adult, but emotionally, I'm an emotional adolescent.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, how do we now do the work to become an emotional adult so that I can have that emotional maturity that, you know, is overall healthy. Like, you bring health to a relationship. That is your contribution. And when you get older and you make those changes, when you start talking to other people that are your age, you're like, oh, this person is not emotionally healthy.
Mm-hmm.
This person is not emotionally mature.
And a lot of men,
so it's,
I'm about to say, and a lot of men,
and they don't want to, and they're cool with it. And I'm like,
and not just that, I say a lot of men don't know how to communicate that. Like, it's like, that's why I try so hard to be an advocate for men to be like, you know what, fuck what we grew up on. Because I like what someone, that post that was trending on Twitter at one point. They said tradition was peer pressure from my ancestors. It's tradition to hold our emotions in. It's tradition to be the man. Like, I'm bulking up and I'm like, yo, I gotta suck it up.
Yeah.
If I get kicked in the dick,
and most people now, they don't want nobody like that. Like, me personally, if that is your definition of, like, being a man, that you're just tough all the time, like, I don't want that. I want somebody that, like, somebody that can feel. Like, I want somebody that's human, because naturally, as humans, there are things that upset us. Mm-hmm. We might not actually cry, but we feel some type of way about it.
They want us to be a robot.
And I would rather you so bad. And I would rather you communicate like that was one of the things that I really love about myself now, that before, if somebody would say something to me or they would do something to me and it made me feel some type of way, I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't acknowledge it. I would just feel some type of way. And now I remember I used to talk to this guy. We stopped talking for a little bit, and then we got back. We had reconnected, and we were talking to each other. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, maybe this might actually go in a direction. And I had asked him like to hang out or something like that, and he was like, "Oh, I just started dating this girl," and I'm just like, "So why are you like why?" So instead of me thinking to myself why, I said to him like, "I personally do not like that you just came and disrupted my peace."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if you were already working on being with someone, why did I have to be a part of it? You could have just left me alone.
Right.
And because I said that to him, he's like, wow, I wouldn't have known. Like, I didn't think about it like that. And he would have never thought about it like that if I actually would have told him how I feel.
Right.
Because a lot of people feel things, but they don't communicate how they feel. And that's okay.
And I think that's why
how you feel. The way that somebody responds, that's on them.
I think that's probably why
But
a lot of people
get that off of you.
Right. I feel like that's why a lot of people are thrown off by me. It's because I know that now. I do that now. Like, it's like people assume that just because I joke on social media and all that stuff that I'm like this one-dimensional individual. No, I have moments where I have to detach from Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube because I have emotions. Like I literally have to put on my board like, yo, relax today. Relax, because if you don't, like, I'm basically making it my mission to be an emotional son of a bitch. And that's literally it. It's because like I've had moments where people will tell me to not be emotional. You're being too emotional. I'm like, man, if I'm feeling emotional, fuck you. How you feel? It's about me.
Yeah,
it's about me. I don't care. I don't care if I don't care if my boat start cracking up and no, let it crack.
Yeah, it's like let people be their own person.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because the way that I respond has absolutely nothing to do with you. Mm-hmm. And if I respond a certain way and you don't, or you respond differently, I'm not gonna look at you crazy like, oh, you're weird. Like,
it's like today's society.
You're your own person. It's okay.
Today's society is so messed up that they assume that everything has to have a point of commentary. Like, no, sometimes you just have to let people talk and be like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And that's it. Or sometimes you don't have to say that.
Say crazy shit, not everything has to be response. Like, that is something I definitely have loved about myself now, because I know if this was, 10 years ago, if I saw something on Twitter, I'd be like, I'm going to argue with you all night long. Mm-hmm. And even now, like, I found myself beginning to respond, and like halfway through, I'm like, fuck this shit. And I just don't say anything. I just go on with the rest of my day. And I feel so great because now I'm not sitting here, going back and forth with somebody on the internet about
fuck this shit, I'm out.
Like something that doesn't mean anything. I don't know who this person is. They don't know anything about me. Now we're arguing about this person's opinion. No. I'm like, your opinion is your opinion. I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna keep pushing.
We need everybody, all the wrestling side of people need to listen to this. You really don't have to argue. Like, bro, y'all not taking bumps.
It's like not everything needs a response. Like, especially when people constantly feed into it, it becomes a thing. Mm-hmm. And that is probably one of the biggest things that I've noticed the difference between like battle rap Twitter and wrestling Twitter. Mm-hmm. Is that when things happen in wrestling Twitter, everybody responds to it. Everybody has an opinion. And it's like either a full 24 hours or it's just like multiple things of people going back and forth over the same exact shit. Whereas with battle rap Twitter, it's like most times people don't even know that something happened because nobody responded to it.
Or nobody's on. Like, people need to understand that sometimes we just get off. Like, I've had people literally at me about certain, like, looking for my opinion. I'll look at it. I'll be like, the fuck they got to do with me? And then I just close the app. And it's because...
I literally told somebody in battle Twitter, I was like, why am I in this tweet? This has nothing to do with me.
Like,
this has nothing to do with me.
Because I
don't even know who you are.
I'm this person.
Why are you mentioning me?
I'm this person who, if I follow you, because my DMs are locked. Like, if I'm not following you, you can't DM me. And seeing as I'm pretty much involved in wrestling Twitter as well as NBA Twitter, and somehow I got involved in Toy Story Twitter from liking a tweet. I don't know, but
maybe that was a thing.
I didn't either until yesterday.
That's crazy.
I didn't either until yesterday. I was like, wait, y'all are a thing. But the reason why is because people have this tendency of going into your DMs and saying a lot of shit out of pocket. So if I'm following you and someone tags me, I'll share the tweet in the DM, be like, please don't tag me in this no more because I don't give a shit. I truly, unequivocally,
like,
do not give a shit.
People would DM me about stuff. I'm like, I don't care about this. I don't. Like, I'm like, it's not gonna make me lose sleep. Like, it don't have nothing to do with me paying my bills. I don't care.
If it, like, bro, I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're not emailing me about a business opportunity where I can get some money, or you want to sponsor me in a video, please don't call. Please don't DM me.
You know what I started telling people? I was like, if you want to know my opinion, ask me the question in the memo of the Cash App.
That's what I was telling my boy DJ. Because he was arguing about people, because maybe a Twitter they was doing like a lot. I'm pretty sure you probably saw me quote tweet it, or if Elon didn't fuck it up, he basically was like, I'm tired of arguing with casual. I said, bro, this year we're normalizing monetized opinions, and he was like, what do you mean by that? I'm like, bro, stop debating for free. If you want to debate,
like, if you really want to know how I feel about this, ask me the question in the memo of a Cash App, and I'll be happy to ask. I'll be happy to answer.
Or in my case, ask me the question on the NGL app. I will reply to it on my podcast, because if you press play on my podcast, I get paid. So you're gonna pay me regardless. I mean, if you want to Cash App me, you can do that too.
If you really want to get my opinion in the moment, my phone is right next to me.
If I'm not live tweeting it, like saying off the cuff shit for watching Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, or even a movie, I don't care. Like, because someone had literally DM me. They said, damn, you talk like you tweet. You thought I was playing a character?
Bro, like, one of my friends that I met through Battle Rap is like my best friend now. And it's so funny because we went to an event together and we were talking to like all these different battle rappers and stuff like that. And like, I said something to them, and she was like, no, she's serious. Like, this, like, the way that she is on Twitter is how she is in real life. Like, she's really not joking. Like, I'm like, this is not a gimmick.
Nah, I don't do gimmicks.
I'm really a hot mess in real life. Like, I really am. That's why I really don't have it all wrapped up tight.
That's why I tell people straight up, I said Joshua Gresham or Gresh is literally the same person. The only difference is Gresh is being recorded. Joshua Gresham is in the confines of his own home. That's it. That's the only difference. Like, the only difference is that camera is rolling. That's it. If anything else, I'm literally the same. Like, the people, like, because people thought I was like saving my own memes. I'm like, no, people are literally turning me into a meme about every goddamn thing. So I'm just like, I just embrace it. But outside of that, outside of the jokes, it's literally just me just chopping the shit. And that's why I try to tell people, I'm like, yo, that's why. Because it's funny, a lot of people, for those who don't know, because we've been having this long conversation, a lot of people, those who don't know, I followed her because for those of you who don't know, it's not a running gag. I despise Chris Jericho's Judas. I despise it with a passion. She put a video while I believe it was in Dynamite at Grand Slam, I believe, one of these years. I think it was an old video. I believe it was old. Was it last year? Or, I mean, not last year, 2021?
At UBS.
Okay.
I think it was at UBS.
Okay.
It was, they started naming the one that they have on Long Island, but I can't, that might be a Grand Slam. But I did it twice. I did it the first time when I went to UBS, and then now every time that I go, I just record it because I'm just like...
She's like, it's not even that good.
It makes me constipated.
She said, she said, oh my God, this is embarrassing.
It's never that good.
This is not
because, like... I need y'all to understand how stupid y'all look when y'all be up there singing y'all heart out. Literally. Like it's on the Bill One Hot 100, and then 5 seconds later when he starts calling y'all crazy, then y'all want to boo him. Y'all was just singing his song word for word, bar for bar at the top of y'all lungs, and now you want to boo him because he's calling you out your name. Like, y'all fake. Y'all are fake. Because guess what? While y'all standing up singing this song, I'm sitting here like this waiting for it to be over.
Right.
so that when y'all start booing him, I can join in with the boos because I kept that same energy. Like, y'all weird for that. I'm not wrong with y'all.
No,
y'all very weird for that.
What cracks me up is how they be clapping. I'm like, bro, y'all acting like y'all sounded good. Y'all sound horrible. Like, don't let, because y'all, I'm like, y'all gotta understand when they put the camera on you, there's this beautiful thing called camera mics. They catch y'all harmony. Y'all don't have a harmony. Y'all sound like a record scratch. Yeah, that's
it's
literally.
Like y'all should have saved that energy for Cody Rhodes song. That's the song I will sing at the top of my lungs and perfect pitch. Like,
Whoa!
I cannot wait until I can go to a Raw the next time they come back to New York, because I'm going to sing. I mean, I already have this song on my playlist, so if it comes on in the car on shuffle, I'm like turning it up.
It's in the gym playlist. It's in the gym playlist.
Putting the windows down, adrenaline, in the going. Yeah, that is a song that deserves that energy.
It does, because according to wrestling Twitter, fans are going to turn on him. But even though every time he pops out, they literally in unison be like, "Whoa!" So no,
I don't think I could ever turn on Cody Rhodes.
See, the funny thing is though, because when I saw him, because my first ever wrestling live event that I went to was when they was here in Duluth, or the greater Atlanta area is what they want to call it, even though it's not Atlanta. When he set himself on fire, I was at that one.
Wait, was that when Brandy tried to pull a left eye and almost kill him?
Yeah, with the flaming table. Yeah, I was at that one. And when everybody was booing him, and I was like, damn, y'all really hate this man? But it was like a section that was booing him but everybody else around them plus me was cheering, like, because when they said from Atlanta, Georgia, and like, and I was like, yeah, cool. But then when he set himself on fire with that reverse neck breaker or whatever whatever the official term is, I let out this biggest, now why the fuck did you do that? And everybody in my section was like, yeah, why did you do that?
I'm trying to think. I was somewhere during that episode, because I don't think I had watched a lot, but somebody had told me, and I think I went back and I watched a clip, and they were like, "Oh, Brandy tried to kill Cody," and I'm like, "Huh?" She tried to set him on fire. So I saw the clip, and after I saw it, I retweeted it with Left Eye's arrest photo, which she posted the side where she's in jail, and I was like, "I see the vision, Brandy, no problem." Like, I see what she did there. Trying to set your husband on fire, no problem.
See, Brandy, me and her, like when she was on TV, it was a few times where I was like, why? But she was not a bad talent. That was
most people most of the time.
She was not a bad talent, but she was just more so like, now was this needed? Like a lot of things that Cody and AEW, after a while, it was more so like, was this really needed? But then
it very much felt like, because he would like go missing for like long periods of time. It felt like I don't want to call him a deadbeat dad, but it just felt very much like, okay, I'm going out for cigarettes, and like he never came back. And
he went
back up, would be like,
he went to go get cigarettes and some milk.
I bought you, like, yeah, like, and then he comes back and he's like, oh, I got you a teddy bear though, and then like he leaves for another 8 months, and he comes back and it's like, oh, but look, we got matching outfits, and then he leaves again. I was like, I don't like that. I felt like Will Smith is like, why you don't want me? Like,
no, you don't want me, man. But then it felt like that. As soon as he went to WWE, back to WWE, it felt like, oh, now I'm ready to see him. Right. It just feels right because
it felt right.
Because it's like in AEW, I think I saw someone say it perfectly. It's like he wasn't. It felt like his time expired, and everybody was starting to sound, because when you have your John Moxleys and all these other people who pretty much are doing the same thing as him, you kind of don't need it. Whereas,
it's like,
whereas in WWE,
the thing that with AEW at that time is that, and even now, really, like the show as a collective doesn't ever feel cohesive.
It doesn't.
Like, and it was very much more. like you could see a lot more in the beginning. It was like, okay, this is the Cody hour, this is the Bucks hour, this is the Kenny hour, this is the Jericho hour, even though, you know, Jericho was the EVP, but it was like everybody had their own section of the overall show, and none of it had anything to do with the whole show as a whole. Whereas with WWE and them actually knowing what they're doing, no shade, it just kind of felt like they just had so much time that we could actually devote a Cody hour now because people want to show for Cody. So
plus that, and
I was here for that.
That and Raw's a freaking 3-hour show. So they ain't have no choice but to give Cody a whole hour. Like he got 30 minutes in the beginning and 30 minutes at the end. That's 2 separate hours. The only difference is sometimes
and it was perfect, and it still made sense.
And plus, his promo dialogue is different than everybody else. That's what also helps him stand out in WWE more too.
And his promos were made for WWE.
Yeah, so and he has his own.
Nobody really gets to get a promo on AEW because they get interrupted. So it's like, what the fuck is the point of me having a good promo if I'm
sometimes, and then it's like we can't really. I mean, I don't really give a shit. It's my show, but AEW. That's the reason why we don't really. That's why we stop reviewing This Week in Wrestling as much like we used to. Like we literally do retro reviews now, and that'd be our show. And the reason why is because sometimes it's like instead of losing peace, we just don't watch. Because sometimes my co-host doesn't watch. Sometimes I don't watch. It is what it is. We're not going to force our listeners to listen to us like fumble through. Oh, Cody did this, or in this case, the Young Buck, the Elite retained their titles over AR Fox and Top Flight, yada yada yada, in a match that had no build. It just happened because Tony got to book a show.
Yeah,
like, we don't talk about that anymore. So it's like that's what AEW
even
feels
now.
like.
It really just plays in the background, like.
Yeah.
There's nobody that I'm like over the moon about.
The only one I'm over the moon.
Oh my god! Because the only one I really liked was Ricky Starks, and he played with this fat bastard.
Man,
I'm like, if this is the only way I can see Ricky, I guess I just can't see him because I refuse to watch anything that has anything to do with Jericho.
Jericho has the
bad built bitch. I hate her.
He is not beating the fit baby mama allegations with me. I am sorry. He is a fit.
Like he kept getting these weekly BBLs and forgot to adjust the top. Like you kept working on getting these fake abs, but you still got saggy titties. You got to do the whole thing. So like, if you're not gonna wear a shirt, the whole thing has to make sense. So you just can't buy abs for week 3 of the program, and you still got saggy titties that don't know each other. It just doesn't make sense.
Man, and
then like his hair thinning, like
so much going on.
Like he has a whole ass bald spot. I'm just like, I can't. Like I used to love him. Like Chris Jericho used to be one of the ones, and now
WWE Chris Jericho.
Whale.
WWE Chris Jericho was the GOAT. I don't know what the hell he doing.
Like luxurious hair, like man, that. Shoot, that being
and that's what a lot of wrestlers and I think that's the reason why a lot of wrestlers mess with me now is because I don't care to offend anybody. Like they know if it's
especially if you deserve being offended.
Yeah, if you know it's jokes, you know it's jokes. But if it's offensive to you, then that's your business. Because I'm not paying your bills and you're not paying my bills. So
facts, because you can be like, oh, you said this about Chris Jericho, he got money. He do.
Congrats.
And with that money, I still don't know why he looks like that. So, because if I had that type of money, I would not look like this.
Nah, I
look like this because of the money that I have in my bank account right now, and I feel like I'm getting by. Let me come up on some money. I ain't getting no surgery because I can't. I can't deal with no more extra weight. But it's gonna be tight. Don't worry.
I would not be out here if I was a millionaire like y'all be trying to argue with me about. I wouldn't be looking like the dude from Lord of the Rings. I'm just saying.
Like
that's what Chris Jericho looks like.
He just looks like
he look like E.T.'s baby daddy.
You were in elementary school and you didn't have like the silly putty, like the good like one, but you had like that putty, like that white glob shit. That's what he looks like. She just looks like a beluga whale.
This don't turn into a Chris Jericho roasting. But before we wrap this up, off the top, list 5 of your favorite battle raps, because that's pretty much what we talking about. We talking about everything.
Like all time or like right now?
Past or present. Yeah, past and present, whichever one. Like, you just list the 5 ones you
okay. Top 5 right now. Will always love Loaded Lugs. That's my battle rap father. Will always love Daylight. That is my battle rap fairy godparent. Love Jazz. I love her so much, and shout out to the Fire Signs. I love her so much, and she's a really nice person too. Because I met her last month. That's 3. Oh, this is so hard. I'm trying to think. Oh, love Kid Slade because I want to suck the skin off his dick, and what's the last one? It's so hard.
I ain't gonna lie. Whenever I hear someone say suck the skin off your dick, I'll be like, bro, that sounds like it's gonna be painful. I don't know why.
No, I'm gonna make sure it doesn't hurt him.
Like, hold on now. Wait a minute. You gonna turn me into a naked mole rat? Like, how does that work?
And I gotta put Rum Nitty on there because I don't think I've ever watched a bad Rum Nitty battle. Like,
okay. I'm gonna write all these down because I gotta, like I said, I gotta get into battle rapping, like, because it's a lot of stuff I gotta get into. It's a fun time. It's a lot of stuff I gotta get into. It's a lot of stuff I gotta get into.
And the crazy thing is, like, a lot of battle rap kind of correlates to wrestling because they do have like a lot of they will have a lot of bars about wrestling. Like, they'll use a lot of wrestlers and different things in there.
A lot of the old school wrestlers because don't nobody really know anybody modern.
No, some of them do. Like, I know Saga, he does. Actually, DNA, he has a wrestling podcast, and he actually, it's so funny. He did a watch party on Caffeine for Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. And DNA is one of those, like, his podcast is called the Attitude Era Podcast.
Oh, that's it.
He's very much one of those, like, yeah, like, he's like, I started watching the wrestler after, Stone Cold was not on there. So he has absolutely no idea who any of these people are. And then Saga, he still watches now. So he's like trying to help him, like, oh no, this is who this is. Like, this is who that is. But I want them to come to Wale Mania so bad. I'm like, bro, like, it's like the perfect, like, intersection.
I might do Wale Mania. I might do Wale Mania when they are in Philly because I don't have LA money. I'm broke as a joke when it comes to LA.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to go and have been planning on going, but I think just like today, because I am looking to move, so I'm like, instead of me spending this money that I could be saving to move, earlier or sooner than I want to, then I still haven't told my friends yet because I really want to go see my friends. It's gonna break my heart that I can't see them, but I'm like, let's go to SummerSlam or something like that, or another.
That's the goal.
We could all come together.
That's the goal for me to go to Detroit. I'm gonna be like, me and my boy already put a deposit on tickets so we can get the actual full experience. And I told him, I said, hey bro, we're just gonna go because we went to SummerSlam last year for last year, and it's funny. I still laugh at this day. I'm still mad that my phone died mid Brock Lesnar flipping over the ring. So it's like, bro,
I was watching it and I was just like, you think I would track the trailer? I was like, why every time something got to do with Brock Lesnar, he want to fuck up a ring? He broke the ring the first time the shit collapsed. Mm-hmm. Now he's flipping shit over. I'm like, we can't have shit in this house.
Literally, that's what I was like, bro. This was chaotic. And it's like, it's kind of cool that my phone did die because I was in the moment. I think that moment was when I finally lost my voice. But so me and him told me and him are working on it. We was like, well, we're gonna get an Airbnb. We're gonna like fly out there, be there for probably a week for SummerSlam, and then we'll probably work on going to WrestleMania for Philly because it's gonna be WrestleMania 40.
That's what's gonna be next year.
Yeah, that's what's gonna be next year in Philly. It's gonna be in Philly.
Oh well, that's right across the street from me. So
Yeah, that's down the street.
That ain't nothing.
So that's saying it's gonna be WrestleMania 40 in Philly. Oh. Yep. That's gonna be in Philly.
Stay the fuck less.
So basically,
that's so. In that case, if they don't go to Wally Mania this year, they definitely gotta have DNA in Wally Mania for next year because it just makes so much sense.
Oh yeah, like most definitely. So that
would be cool if they had a little rap battle in the middle of Wally Mania. Like I feel like it would be a vibe.
So besides the podcast that you got, the battle rap. For those of you who don't know what the battle rap Hoochie Society is, there's a new voice in the battle rap game. Join Matessa Ash, the leader of the battle rap Hoochie Society, as she provides her hilarious perspective on rap battles, past and present. I just gave you a brief description of her podcast, which you guys should be checking out if you haven't done it so already. We talked about everything here. That's literally was the point of this episode. Is to just talk about everything here. But if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to her because she's doing a damn thing. And that's not a prediction. That's just a fact of life. What do you have coming up besides the podcast?
What do I have coming up?
That you can divulge at the moment. Like if you got secrets, keep the secrets to yourself. But
I don't really have any secrets. I'm really just still trying to figure out this whole, battle rap thing. Trying to get out to more battle rap events and things like that. So definitely trying to be outside more. Not so much. Like they do have events often, but they're a little bit everywhere. Like there's one today in Atlanta, there's gonna be another one next week in Atlanta, and then the week after that will be one in New York. That'll be the one that I'm going to. And then I know there's supposed to be one in March, but I don't know where that one is yet. And then they do have battle rap events that are kind of like the equivalent of like a WrestleMania, like a SummerSlam, that I'm planning on going to just because I feel like I should. But right now I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck a podcast is. Still trying to, get my voice out there. Shout out to people that are very supportive. And the cool thing about battle rap is that it's like, imagine all of your favorite wrestlers, but you can actually be a little bit more like personal with them. Like they're not afraid to like jump in his space. They're not afraid to follow you on Twitter. Like they're not afraid to retweet your shit. So I do like that about battle rap Twitter is that for the most part, all of them are super, super cool. Some of them are weird, but weird people are everywhere.
Everywhere.
We're weird people everywhere. But yeah, I'm really just trying to have fun. Like I've met some really dope people, like dope people that are fans, dope people that are in media, and everybody has been really supportive. It's not really like a crabs in a barrel ass situation over here. So they've been really supportive and like really welcoming and really understanding of my very interesting perspective and just adjusting to the menace that I am now. So yeah.
The menace.
I'm just having fun.
The menace Tessa.
Yeah, like a lot of people have been calling me menace now, and I am beginning to just roll with that name. It's like I'm not trying to intentionally be a menace. It's just how I feel. Like it's not my fault. Y'all niggas is fine. That's your fault.
Because the funny thing is, like, my intro is literally what people call me. They call me the purveyor of mischief because I'm always into some bullshit. So whenever you hear me say greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, number, this is the voice that does the most because I literally do the most. The purveyor of mischief, the finesser of all things social and media. That's literally what people call me. So I'm like, let me embrace it.
Yeah, okay. I started doing that in my podcast. Like now, before the intro music hits, I start off by saying that this episode is sponsored by Gresh Pants. And whenever I do my intro, I tell them, like, here in the Battle Hoochie Society, we give headshots, and we take back shots. Like, that's what we do.
I broke when
it's the best of both worlds.
When you said that, and when I read that, I was like, "Oh my god, this is a hit. This is a hit. This is hilarious. this is gonna work. Because that's the thing about when you're saying you're trying to figure out this podcasting game. That's literally it. Once you find your niche and you actually keep people engaged, that's it. That's literally it. People think it's like that's a study. There's studying required behind podcasting, but once you find your niche, it's just a press record and just go with the flow. That's why.
Yeah, like I once I like something like, and I want to do something as like big of a task as starting a podcast, because once you start, it's a responsibility. Like you can't just be lazy with it and then just be like, oh, I'm gonna do a podcast. But I'm gonna release an episode like once every 2 months. Like, you're not gonna build a following that way. And I don't even necessarily think I'm trying to build a following per se. I just feel like this is it's just like, I don't want to say it's like therapy, but it just feels good to get it out. Like, 'cause I love battle rap, but y'all niggas be flying. And some of y'all want to fuck. So I'm just going to say it on a platform like my podcast, and y'all can listen to it and hear my thoughts on it, while also hear me actually analyze and appreciate actual battle rap for what it is. Because it's not just me like, oh, I don't care what y'all are saying, I just care about what y'all look like. Like, I actually do care about what y'all are saying.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like just when you guys group in the saying and the looks.
Listen, I watch wrestling because I like violence, but listen, I'm not finna lie. Like, I don't really be seeing, like, if I see a fine wrestler, I'll be like, God damn.
Oh yeah, because I be seeing your tweets.
I'll be like,
and I be like, you rock, because I know you be seeing my tweets. So
oh my
like,
God.
I see you.
You be like, I'll be like, yo, damn, she would be married. Fuck. I don't care. It's Twitter. It ain't that deep.
What?
Like
I just had to tell somebody that today. I was like, yo, like, I literally took you off my list because I found out you were married. And you're like, tell me, I want to hear what you got to say. I was like, all right, nigga, that's fine. Like, if you don't mind, I don't mind either.
Like, hey, come on now. Like, hey.
I was like, just know I'm dead ass. Like, don't think that I'm just saying this for Twitter's sake, like, or just saying it for shits and giggles. Like, I meant what I said.
Because I have coworkers that don't follow wrestling or sports like that, but they know who a Jade Cargill is. They know who a Bianca Belair is because they fine as hell. That's literally
fine.
That's literally it.
And that's why I also shout out to my good friends, Kobe, MJ. Like, they say some of the most egregious shit about wrestlers. Like, absolutely egregious.
Like she had, like, Kobe has a titty for each Uso.
Yes, like that. Like, literally, I don't have to do any work to find like a crazy meme. I can literally just go to either Lovely, MJ, or Kobe's Twitter, and every time I see something, I just like, all right, I'm gonna say this for battle rap. I'm gonna say this for battle rap, and it something that Lovely said, and that's why I want to apply it to battle rap, because something that Lovely always says is that a lot of wrestlers should play into the fact that they are fine ass niggas, because most of the times that's how you get the bitches. Like, that probably won't watch wrestling, but they'll watch you if you fine. And when she said that, it made so much sense, because it's like, honestly, if Ricky Starks was non-AEW, I probably wouldn't watch AEW at all. But Ricky Starks is literally just that fine. Then I'm like, I'm going to tune in to see if y'all will actually put him on TV, which we don't know if you'll do that. But just so I can see his fine ass, I'm going to watch, because the nigga's fine. But he also is a good wrestler. So the same thing applies to battle rap, because even now with me, posting or retweeting certain battle rappers, now I have my wrestling Twitter friends that are like, wait, who is this nigga? That nigga fine. You see? Now you just got a new fan, or somebody that is probably doesn't know anything about battle rap, but will watch you because you fine. And so, it works.
Why do you think Ricky Starks calls himself Stroke Daddy?
Like, I know why he calls himself Stroke Daddy, but I want to find out why he calls himself Stroke Daddy. Because I know he likes to play golf, and I know he's good at playing golf. So yeah, Stroke Daddy. But I'm trying to find out if this is double entendre. You know what I mean?
Like when I ask people why does Roman what is his obsession with handcuffs, and people are like, I don't know, but I'm trying to find out. I'm like, there you go.
Oh yeah.
He know what he doing.
Yeah.
He know what he doing, and that's why a lot of independent wrestlers need to do that. If you know you're attractive, do that. Do that.
Like literally, my first episode, I did a watch along, and it was Rum Nitty versus K-Shine. And I called it an Eiffel Tower battle because both of them niggas is fine, and I would like to be in between both of them. And I don't remember who had the bar, but somebody was talking about like obviously a gun. They were like, "Oh, it grips different," and I was like, "I too grip different. How about that? How about that? How about that?" And then like I didn't even know, but I think while I was watching it in Rub Nitty's third round, he choked a little bit. Like he kind of like forgot, what his next bar was. And I was like, it's okay, Nitty, because I too choke sometimes. It's okay. Okay. See how that works? Like it just works. So I do what I can. I just do what I can with my little platform. That's all.
But wrestling fans, just because she do that, don't do that. I ain't talking about the women, I'm talking about the brothers, because some brothers that listen to me don't understand boundaries either. So we gotta reiterate, like, it's okay to joke, but there's a fine line between joking and being downright weird.
Yeah.
Because
most of the times, and it's so funny because now, like, I have a lot of like guy friends in battle rap that are battle rappers, or they're like indie battle rappers, so to say, or they're just like regular fans, and they're just like, what is wrong with you? Like, they'll see my tweets, and they're just like, what is wrong with you? And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. So many things.
Just a horny motherfucker. That's pretty much.
I'm just like, can I live? Can I just blend in? That's all I want. I just want to say what I have to say and blend in. Like, and that's why I'm glad that like right now nobody really knows who I am, because I can say what I want and I can blend in. And then sometimes like you'll have those weird ass niggas that will be like, oh well, I'm just gonna tag them in the tweet. Like, nigga, I can do that. I have no problem mentioning them in the tweet, because the thing is, I'm not just saying this on Twitter. If I've seen them in real life, I've also said this to them to their face, and I've also seen them blush very hard because of it. So you don't have to be that. Oh, I'm about to put this girl on First Street. Let me tag them in the tweet. You don't gotta do that.
See, listen.
You make it high. Let me live.
Listen.
Let me blend in.
Listen. Shout out to Bruv on this dude on Twitter, who I actually be copying or saving little cold tweets because man, it's hilarious. But for those, this is our message to those people who do that, because they have this tendency of tagging people for no reason to try to get points.
No reason.
So here's my message to those who likes to tag people, because we're not going to act like people don't vanity search themselves. They see it. But for you,
no, they do.
But for you who tag, so you a dick eater and a bitch? Yikes. Damn. It's
like, not you trying to like I know this one particular battle rapper that would not put him on First Street, but the thing is, I feel like if any battle rap fans watch this, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And they'll be like I will literally see him like my tweets. They will have absolutely nothing to do about him. I don't follow him. He does not follow me. But he will like a lot of my tweets that have absolutely nothing to do with him. So I'm like, how are you seeing my shit? And if you're liking him, why don't you just follow me so it's not weird? But it's like, how did you come across this? Like, literally nobody would have liked it but him. Mm-hmm. How did you find this? We don't follow each other. What are you searching? I'm so confused.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'll be like, yo, you're tagging this person. They see it. Trust me. They see it. They see.
Yeah. Crazy enough, I have a lot of bad rappers that follow me now. So I'm like, for the most part, I don't have to tag them, because eventually, shout out to Elon touching buttons, eventually it'll show up on their timeline. Mm-hmm. But you trying to make it funny or trying to embarrass me, like, oh, look what this person said about you at this person. It's like, you just look stupid.
And don't let them be. And don't let them be trying to call me.
I don't need your help.
And don't be letting them try to call you out on somebody else's tweet. And I'm like, bro, you follow me. What are we doing here?
I'm like, what are we doing? Like,
you follow me. It's not the other way around. And the reason why I don't follow a lot of people is because some people be posting some weird shit. So, like, because what I do, I make it a mission. I make it my mission to, if you follow me and I see that you have a similar following as I do, I look at your tweets and I'll be like, they're not too bad. I'll follow back. It's not because I think I'm better than anybody by following less people than who I'm following. It's not because a lot of y'all are either bots or you don't post anything appropriate, or you just say shit out of pocket, and that I don't want to see as soon as I log on.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. There's nothing more to it. But besides y'all being weird on social media, where can they follow you on social media if they don't know so already?
So you can follow me on Twitter at Matessa Ash. That is where I am majority of the time. You can follow me on Instagram, but I don't really be on there like that. Matessa Ashley.
You, me, same. And the reason why I'm picking up you moving. The reason why is because I literally turned it into promotion.
Yeah, like majority of the time now, I'll post I just reflect some of the posts that I put on.
That's literally promotion.
Yeah, on Instagram. But other than that, I don't really be outside like that. And when I do go outside, I usually don't take pictures. So I don't really be on Instagram like that. And my friend, shout out to Amante, has threatened me to make a TikTok. So I am trying to figure out what the hell is TikTok. So just follow me on Twitter. That's what everything will be. And then when I figure out TikTok, I'll post the TikTok. Y'all follow me on there.
No, the fun thing is,
I don't even know what my TikTok name is right now.
The fun thing is with my TikTok, I was literally trying to figure my niche, and then the people was telling me, they're like, bro, you're building a presence in wrestling. Just do wrestling. And that's when it started skyrocketing, because I was like,
yeah. So that's what my friend keeps telling me. I'm like,
just do the same thing with battle rap. Like if you reacting to, once you get more comfortable and put yourself in front of a camera, just put yourself reacting to battle rap.
Yeah, he was like, you have to do duets. And I actually I posted my first TikTok that I made myself today. And I was like, I feel like I could just make my tweets into TikToks. So I might just end up doing that kind of. But I don't know. I tried so hard to stay away from TikTok, but my friends keep telling me that,
it is addictive. I'll give you that. I'll give them that. It is addictive. It is addictive. It is addictive. But
I haven't gotten addicted to it yet.
Oh, trust me.
It's really just on my phone, 4 pages back.
But I told you with the podcast, my DM is open. If you need assistance with the TikTok and what to post, I got you. That's what I'm here for.
I will definitely ask, because I'm like, I don't understand nothing about these TikToks. I tried so hard.
What you say, Titty Talks?
And TikTok. Shout out to Phoenix. I got that from her. She says that.
TikToks. I might have to.
Yeah, TikTok.
That's hilarious.
Shout out to Phoenix.
That's my sis. But before we get up out of here, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. We got one little motivational quote for you guys. You have to think it before you can do it. The mind is what makes it all possible. Kai Green.
There you go.
That's literally it. Whether we was talking about mental health, wrestling, battle rap, whatever we was talking about, if you feel like you can get it done, you can make it possible. You just gotta do it. But you gotta do it. You guys already know where you can follow me on social media: Josh Gresham ORG, Gresh Unleashed, or www.gressunleashed.com. Make sure you download this episode so you can give it a rating. If you want to check out the regular episodes of the podcast, you can, in video format, you can visit patreon.com/GreshDigital. That literally is $1, and you get the video format of this podcast, but everything else is everywhere you listen to your podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Spreaker is there, but it doesn't exist because I don't update it as much. But all these other platforms, if you just go to www.gressunleashed.com, you can find every hub where you listen to your podcast. You just click on it, and then there you go. We're continuing to evolve and try to grow. And let's be real, at some point, I'm working on getting all the interviews the guests that we've had on this show to come back. I'm working on in-person podcasts. So basically, we're gonna make it happen. If I have to travel to New York, or if I have to put her on a plane, we're gonna bring her back, and we're gonna bring her at the actual table, because I'm working on building an actual table so it can be legit.
Come on, table.
So yeah, I am the table. But
let's go.
But we're working on doing all this stuff because anybody who's friends of your boy is friends of the crew and the club, and we appreciate everybody for checking us out and checking out this particular sit down with your menace to society, the menace of the Battle Rap Hoochie Society, the leader of Battle Rap Hoochie Society, the one and only Tessa. Got love for her, even though we've just met recently this year. Was it last year? This year just started. My bad.
Yeah.
My brain.
I don't even know how that happened, but I'm glad it did.
The Judas thing. That's what it was.
I made some really genuine connections on Twitter.
That's the Judas thing.
Thanks for having me on your show. Got
to, because that's and people. It's literally just me chatting up with my peoples, and that's literally it. If you get something out of it, we appreciate you for supporting. And if you don't get something out of it, send it to somebody who can actually get something out of it, because that's just how we roll. But with that being said, make sure
exactly.
With that being said, you guys stay safe out here in the world of unknown. But as your favorite voice that does the most and purveyor of mischief, I have to remind you of the one known, and that is you are appreciated, loved, and accepted by yours truly. And remember, as the song says, to always eat, sleep, flex, and repeat. We out. Be breezy.